How the heretics, some hard-working apostates, are making a list of all the watchtower property, and they asked me to help them to check the Bethel in Norway. I actually thought they sold the Bethel in Norway because they closed the Bethel in Norway and Sweden and moved to Denmark. The Finnish branch has always been kind of a backup branch for the Russian branch, which would be about here somewhere. And it's closed down now. But Norway, Sweden, and Denmark are merged. But I got to show you the Norwegian branch. It's a lovely place, and I was surprised that they still own it. And it kind of grown bigger. So I worked here in 1995, and I'm going to show it to you. And just a quick disclaimer: everything I say now is public information. The address is here, Gaupeveien 24, like 24 elders. The zip code is 1914, easy to remember. So there's really no reason why you should not trust me, because you can check all of this yourself. And I hope the microphone is working. That's what I was looking at. So this is the Bethel, and it's a beautiful place. It is the area here, and a Norwegian piece of land is registered with 3 numbers. The first is a municipality number, the second is a farm number, and the last is a section number, because all sections originates from a farm, and all farm is a member of the municipality. So the municipality number is 3028, the farm number is 90, and the section number is 487. So the original section would be about this big, and was created in 1981, the 27th of April. So that's most likely about when they started building it. And when I was working there, the watchtower owned this section, and that's an industrial building that they bought. So I was working as a sheet metal worker there, and this part here was the kind of the office part of an industry. So watchtower used it for dwelling, which I don't think is 100% legal, but I might be wrong, and it's none of my business anyway. They sold this, so this no longer belonged to watchtower. When I was working here, all the worldly people, there's a mansion here, this is a mansion, did not belong to watchtower, but all the worldly people, the neighbors said, oh, the cult leader, he's living in this mansion. He did not. He was a really nice guy, and he was a family member of mine, extended family member, and he lived with the others here. And tell you a nice story. If you work at Bethel, you accumulate seniority. And there was a sister that served Watchtower Jehovah her whole life. And I think her life story is in the literature. She became like over 100 years. But she had the highest seniority. So she could pick the best room. And she did. Good for her. So the cult leaders and all the important guys had to wait for her to pick the best room for herself, and she did. Very good. So, this was Bethel, this was the mansion, this is something else, I actually never seen it. Here we had some cabins out here, and I don't know about these cabins, where they're from. Often they built cabins during the war, because they were afraid Oslo would be bombed, so they asked their uncle, can I build a cabin? And then they built a cabin, and then they used it for vacations after the war and stuff like that. So that might be, it's a normal thing in Norway to have a cabin if you live in Oslo. So it's not a big deal, but that's the story. And the area here was called Deserted Farm Slope, Øde Gårdslia. And then now you get a history lesson, because in Scandinavia you often find that name. And that's because after the plague, people just died and farms were deserted. So then people would refer to them as the deserted farm or the deserted farm slope. And then the name would stick. So most likely there's a farm around here that's called the deserted farm. Still, even though it's obviously no longer deserted. So when I remember my friend, he told me that Watchtower were buying these cabins when they were for sale. And Watchtower really didn't need them, but it's just a good business strategy to buy them because they were not too expensive. And it's better to own them and control them if you can afford it than to have, you don't know who will become your new neighbor. So they bought it. And as a pioneer, you're allowed to stay 2 days at Bethel. So I used to go down to Bethel just to get some free food and showers and all the fancy stuff that pioneers can't afford. So I have a lot of good memories from here. But now, let's look at this map. This is a map of real estate. And what Watchtower own is one piece of real estate now, including those cabins you see here, and the mansion, and this, whatever it is. They don't own this. And what happened in 1996, the 16th of August, Watchtower consolidated 6 pieces of real estate into one. And the same date, in 1996, they created a new official map. So this is just one estate. And I can't understand why they did that in 1996. To me, it seems like a stupid move. Because if you're going to sell this piece of land, if this were my land and I'm going to sell it, well, obviously I cannot sell all of this because no one's interested in buying all of this. I would have to give them a major discount. The smart move to do from a business perspective would be to section this and sell this. Like this cabin, there's a lot of people who would like to buy this cabin. And you would get a better price for selling all of this stuff. Like the mansion by itself, the cabin by themselves, and so forth. So I can't understand why they did it. But they often do stuff without asking me, and they probably had a good reason for it. But that was done in 1996. And then in 2009, the 13th of April, someone sold this to Jehovah's Witnesses for 10 kroner. So I assume it was Watchtower that sold it to Jehovah's Witnesses for 0 kroner. So just move the assets from one entity to another entity. So I don't know who sold it, but it was Watchtower property before, and now it's Jehovah's Witness property. And Norway is a democracy, so I just checked Jehovah's Witnesses, the registered owner, and this is how much money they made in 2019. All this is public information. You can find here and read it for yourself. So here it says 113 million Norwegian kroner. In 2018, 85 million kroner. But are they making a profit? No. According to their paperwork, they lost 3 million, they lost 8 million, they lost 2 million. But they have a lot of expenses that kind of correlates with this. So I assume, and I'm a window cleaner, not an accountant, but I assume they send money to Warwick one way or another. But then if you go down here, it says koncernbidrag. That's mean kind of like if you're an entity under an umbrella and you give money to another entity, that would be here. But there's nothing here. So Watchtower, Jehovah's Witnesses in Norway is not giving to other entities. But they do have a lot of business expenses that I assume is money to Watchtower. So maybe, I don't know. Maybe Watchtower is sending an invoice like a franchise. In order for you to use our literature and for the privilege of serving the governing body, this is your annual franchise fee. Because it's listed as a business expense. But I'm a window cleaner, don't trust me. It's public information. You can go and read it and pay for a real accountant to explain it to you. So I just want to show you Norway. It's a nice place, democratic country with a nice constitution. And this is Trondheim, where I clean windows every now and then. And I go over the fjord to here, and then I drive up here. You can see that lake. You might have seen it in some of my videos in the background. It's a nice lake. So this is where I live. Ah! That's my farm, Slettvoll gård. So I own this, and then I own all the way up here. Here. This is crappy land. It looks like the moon. You could stage a moon landing here. Anyway, I call it billabong. I learned it in Australia. So I have my own billabong. And this is my farm. This is my paradise. So I have this place here, and this place here. And for whatever reason, Google took a trip up here and documented all my crap lying around. So this is embarrassing, but you would find it anyway. So better have some damage control, and I show you. That's the little house. You see, waiting to have some stuff done in the garden. And that's the crappy house. And I started digging here to build an addition to the house and a wheelchair entrance. That's the dog hotel and the discotheque and the lake. Let's look at the lake. No. So much work to do. I'm so tired. If anyone would come and help me mend the fences, please do. So, well, I fixed this last year. It's whatever you do, never ever buy a farm. And I bought 2. So we can walk up there. This is fun. Never done it before. I get a lot of exercise running up and down this hill. And now we can do it together. No goats in the pictures. Why not? Let's go up there. And we can stop here and take a break. The red house I built a few years ago, I've turned this into a garage. And that's where I keep the goats. And yeah, it's a nice view. So I always say that, see you in paradise, because we only get one shot at this planet. It's a crappy planet, but it's the best one we've got. And it's better to enjoy life than to serve Watchtower. So I hope you like this video. I hope you don't get too angry and call me a lying apostate, because everything I said might be wrong, but everything I said is public information. So you can check it out for yourself. So I hope you like this video. I hope you come to Norway and visit me. So that's why I end this message like always. See you in paradise.